Well, welcome to the Education Committee. I'm Senator Dave Merman from Glenville, represent 38th District. I serve as chair of the committee. The committee will hear from 3 gubernatorial appointments for the Education Committee today in the order posted. We will begin with each gubernatorial appointment statement or introduction, following by questions from the committee, then any proponents, opponents, and finally neutral. I will now have the committee members with us today introduce themselves, starting at my right.
Good afternoon. I'm Senator Luann Linehan from District 39.
Hi, Joni Albright, District 17, Northeast Nebraska.
Good afternoon. I'm Lynn Walls from Legislative District 15.
And let Senator Conrad introduce herself. She's just coming in.
Hi, I'm Danielle Conrad. I represent Lincoln.
And to my right is Jack Duggar. And to my far right, or excuse me, Jack Spray. I was looking at John over there.
We're both so pretty.
Jack.
We're excited to be here.
Other Jack.
Jack Spray, and to my far right is Shelley Schwartz, the committee clerk. And Senator Sanders just came in, so I'll let her introduce herself.
Good afternoon, Rita Sanders, District 45, which is the Bellevue Offutt community.
Okay, with that, we'll begin today's hearings with the gubernatorial, that's a long word, appointee Dr. LeDonna Griffin. She's up for the position of coordinating commission for post-secondary education with a term through January 1st of 2030. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Go ahead, thank you.
Dr. LeDonna Griffin, educator of many years. LeDonna, L-E-D-O-N-N-A, Griffin, G-R-I-F-F-I-N.
And LeDonna, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for the coordinating commission, or why you've been appointed for the coordinating commission for post-secondary education?
Absolutely. So I bring a great number of years of experience in education. It is pre-K-12, which feeds right into post-secondary education. I look forward to being a part of coordinating commission for post-secondary education to continue to push education and the importance of education forward in the state of Nebraska.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for Dr. Griffin? Yes, Senator Conrad.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Griffith. Nice to connect. I was just hoping, I hope I have my files right here, but if not, help me. You're involved with maybe some consulting work now, is that right? Through a group about, I'm sorry, I don't have the exact title, Legends?
Oh, Leaders to Legends.
Leaders to Legends. Okay. Can you help me understand what that organization is and your role in it and how that may interface with your work on the Post-Secondary Coordinating Commission if confirmed?
I do not see any conflict of interest there.
Okay.
Leaders to Legends, I'm the founder of Leaders to Legends.
Okay.
It is an alternative education economy that I work with families who are seeking a private homeschool education, pre-K. Oh.
Okay. And that's very helpful. Thank you. And I know our committee has been digging into all aspects of education, whether that's homeschooling or private or parochial school or public schools. So it sounds like maybe you have some experience in the public schools and then also in providing consulting or guidance to those involved in homeschooling now. Is that a fair assessment of? I know that's a generalization on a lot of work over many years, but is that okay? And then what kind of consulting does your organization provide to homeschool families? Is it curriculum based? Is it regulatory? Is it leadership? Is it professional development? Can you just help us kind of understand that?
Absolutely. So it is the model is working directly with parents
Okay.
who have opted to educate their children in the home setting. And so it is a plethora of resources that will be provided to the family. And
Okay.
sometimes just sitting down, just letting them know they're not alone
Yeah.
and working directly with the family as they educate their children.
Very good. And then just in terms of the work of the Post-Secondary Coordinating Commission, can you tell me about your vision or ideas for bringing that K-12 perspective kind of to the lens of higher education and making sure that we're the best that we can be when it comes to higher ed in Nebraska, and kind of how that role might or that experience might fit this role?
Absolutely. So I look forward to, as a commissioner and working in the post-secondary education, naturally K-12 does feed right into.
Of course.
So looking forward to all of the options that will be available through post-secondary education as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions for Dr. Griffin? Senator Sanders, did you have a question?
Thank you, Senator Merman, and thank you, Dr. Griffin, for stepping up to do this. I know it takes a lot of your time, and you have just a breadth of knowledge and background. Very impressive. What do you think, in a nutshell, will you be able to bring to this commission? You've probably already attended one or two meetings, and so you might have some idea of what that would mean to you.
So I definitely look forward to taking into consideration that the background knowledge that I am bringing with me, as working as a commissioner and working directly with post-secondary education and the needs that we see in the community, and being able to push the work forward at commission level as well.
Thank you again.
Any other questions? I have one. You are involved with homeschooling. Are you familiar with classical education?
I am.
I know nationwide there's consideration of using or at least by some colleges of using the classical education test for college admission. Do you have any ideas on that or suggestions?
I do not. In the homeschool world, again, it's led by parents. And so parents make that decision. And currently at this time, I do not work with anyone who is in classical education curriculum.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Griffin?
I just have
Yes,
a
Senator
real quick
Wallace.
question. You have quite the resume.
Mhm.
Very, very impressive. I was looking, you've done a lot of work at, did you start at Omaha Public Schools as a teacher? I'm trying to go back to where you started out as a teacher,
That's correct.
and I think it was like first, third, fifth, I can't
Multiple
remember.
grade levels, yes.
Yeah, and then you went on to a principal, assistant principal?
Assistant principal.
Okay, and then a
And
principal.
then a
Can you
principal.
just tell me about your career at Omaha Public Schools?
Absolutely. So I started teaching right out of college. All of my teaching has been in the urban setting. Started out as a classroom teacher and then on to an assistant principal. And then my last 17 years as principal.
Wow.
That was my career in Omaha Public Schools.
And then you just decided to retire and do something that, what was,
Well, yeah, absolutely. So transitioned out after that, and community came to me and said, and that COVID did it, I'll just say
Oh,
COVID did
yeah.
it, and just said, I no longer am my child. I need help with my child, seeing some success with them. And that is how I began Leaders to Legends and working directly with families in the community.
got it. You have a very, very impressive resume. Thank you for all your work,
Thank you.
experience.
Any other questions for Dr. Griffin? If not, thank you very much, and we will vote soon and hopefully move your nomination to the floor. And thank you for
Thank you.
coming here personally.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Next, we have Christy Hovanetz and PhD, and she'll hopefully be here by teleconference. and she is been nominated for the Nebraska Technical Advisory Committee for statewide assessment. Were you able to get her on, Shelley?
I texted her, let me see.
Okay.
Hi, Christy. We are in the hearing right now, and I wanted to give you the phone number to call. It's 402-471-3278.
Yeah, she'll have to call back.
I'll have a call back. Sorry. Hi, Christy. Can you try and call back? We somehow got cut off here. 278, correct. That's correct. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Hello, Christy.
Yes.
I am Senator Dave Merman, Chair of the Education Committee. Thank you for putting yourself out there via teleconference. We have most of the committee here available, and we are ready to hear your advocacy for yourself to be reappointed to the Nebraska Technical Advisory Committee for statewide assessment.
Thank you, Chair Merman. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you and the committee this afternoon. My name is Christy Hovanetz. I appreciate you considering me for reappointment to the Technical Advisory Committee for statewide assessment. I'm excited to remain engaged with Nebraska on education issues, specifically the assessment and school accountability policies.
Excuse me, Christy, I should have asked you to spell your first and last name first.
Sure. Christy, Christy. Hovanetz, HOV as in Victor, ANET Z as in zebra.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I believe every child deserves the opportunity to reach their potential. The K-12 education system plays a foundational role in ensuring that success. Over the last 25 years, I've worked to ensure K-12 education systems provide these opportunities to all students. My practical experience, coupled with formal university training, equips me with the qualifications to serve as a member of the Nebraska Technical Advisory Committee. During my career, I've had the pleasure of learning and leading with the nation's most intelligent and skilled policymakers, researchers, and educators to advance education. Since 2009, I've worked as a senior policy fellow at Excel and Ed, assisting states across the country in the development of cutting-edge education policies in critical areas such as student assessment, school and teacher accountability, school intervention, reading and math policies, and large-scale education research, evaluation, and data collection. Past leadership positions I've held include serving as an assistant commissioner at the Minnesota Department of Education, leading the research and assessment office responsible for the state's K-12 assessment program. And I also served as the deputy commissioner in the state of Florida at the Department of Education, leading the Accountability Research and Measurement Office. I have worked with the federal government as a national expert and a peer reviewer. I am a traditionally trained teacher, graduating summa cum laude from St. Cloud State University with a bachelor's in education and a minor in mathematics, and still maintain my teaching certificate in the state of Minnesota. I have a master's of public administration from the University of Minnesota and a doctorate of philosophy in public administration and policy from Florida State University. Serving as a member of the the Nebraska Technical Advisory Committee for statewide assessment has been an honor, a challenge, and a responsibility that I take very seriously. So thank you again for considering my application for reappointment.
Well, thank you very much. You have quite an impressive resume. I was able to attend the Excel in Ed conference, I think it was back in November in Atlanta, and was very impressed by Excel in Ed's advocacy for students and for, especially for different methods of education, I guess, different pathways for K-12 students. Could you maybe expand on that a little bit? Or if you, I don't know if you're familiar with that conference, but what Excel in Ed does?
Yes, I've had a pleasure of working for Excel in Ed for just over 15 years now, and am part of the planning committee that puts on and determines the content for the event. So at the summit, we try and feature or highlight a lot of our key policies that are getting national attention. So early literacy and math policy, innovation, started to delve into some social media policy and student opportunities, a lot of policy on accountability and assessment, particularly screening assessments for instructional purposes, as well as accountability for schools, looking a lot at college and career pathways and really defining what it means to be successful in secondary education, to equip kids for life after high school in the post-secondary arena, whether it is attending a university or entering the workforce. So the content and programming really spans all of our main education policies at Excel in Ed. We are a nonprofit education organization, entirely funded entirely by private entities and foundations and philanthropies, and do work in just about all 50 states across the country.
Well, thank you, Dr. Hovanetz. Dr. Christy.
That works, or just Christy.
Do we have any other questions for you from the committee? Yes, Senator Sanders.
Thank you, Senator Merman. Thank you, Dr. Hovanetz, for your worldwide knowledge that you bring to this commission. Greatly appreciate that. I just have one quick question. Your address is in Minnesota, I believe. Is that a conflict at any time from out of state?
A conflict
of getting to the meetings or being able to jump on Zoom. Thank God for Zoom.
It has not been a conflict, no.
Terrific. Thank you so much again.
My pleasure.
Any other questions? Senator Linehan.
Thank you very much for being with us. I appreciate you calling in. I think this position is supposed to be somebody from out of state, right? It's supposed to be a non-Nebraskan.
There is a number of different requirements for membership on the committee, including local representation as well as national experts.
That's what I thought. Okay. So you represent the national expert.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, thank you for being here via teleconference. We appreciate it, and we'll take a vote soon and hopefully move your nomination to the floor and keep you on the committee until July 18th, 2026.
Thank you very much, Chair Merman. I appreciate your time.
And with that, we'll move on to the third nomination, and that is Timothy Daniels for the Coordinating Commission for Post-Secondary Education, and his term is through January 1st, 2030.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
My name is Timothy Daniels. That's Timothy. Daniels, Daniels. And I'm looking for confirmation for Coordinated Commission for Post-Secondary Education. I was first appointed to the commission by Governor Ricketts the summer of 2019, and I do serve at large. At present, I am vice chair. I'm a resident of Omaha, having moved here from Gearing about 7 years ago. I am retired from the telephony, internet, and broadcasting industries. Prior to my move to Omaha, I had served just about 14 years as a member of the Western Nebraska Community College Area Board of Governors. So I've had a little bit of experience in higher education.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Daniels? Senator Walls.
I just have a quick question. Did you say you have some background in broadcasting?
Yes.
What did you do?
Well, I started in broadcasting at the ripe old age of 16, and throughout my various careers, was in production staff, in sales staff, management, also doing on-air broadcasting in news and weather, both in Scottsbluff and also in Kearney.
Oh, nice. Okay. My husband is a broadcaster in Fremont, so that's why I was kind of curious.
We are a great breed.
You are. Yes, you are. Thank you so much.
Any other questions for Mr. Daniels?
Either way, go ahead. I can wait. Okay.
Senator Conrad?
We're also Nebraska nice. We're waiting guys. Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Mr. Daniels, for being here. I just wanted to ask you if you could you tell me about the organization or the institution of higher education that you mentioned right at the tail end of your introductory comments? Was it Western Governors?
It was the Board of Governors of Western Nebraska Community College.
I got you. Okay, that makes total sense. Yes, I'm very familiar with their good work. Thank you so much.
Any other questions, Mr. Daniels? Could you tell us a little bit about what your what you look at as being the most important thing going forward that the Coordinating Commission for Post-Secondary Education will be doing?
Oh, we have so many things that are equally important. Obviously, the role of the commission, in my estimation, has been to serve Nebraska taxpayers by partnering with the legislature to help develop results-driven higher education policy, ensuring that tax dollars are efficiently used in construction projects, ongoing budget requests, approving or disapproving academic programs that are based on need, demand, unnecessary duplication, use of resources, and cost. So I think that working for the state of Nebraska taxpayer is probably in higher education to make sure that it is as most efficient as possible is the number one role.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Headrick? If not, we'll take a vote soon and hopefully move your nomination to the floor. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And then we'll move on to Dorothy Anderson, and she is,
Oh, wait, did you want to testify?
oh, we should ask for proponents.
Dennis,
Pardon me?
Dennis, Headrick, Dr.
Oh, okay. Didn't mean to skip you, Dennis. We'll move on to Dennis Headrick, Coordinating Commission for Post-Secondary Education. His term will run, I think, also through January 1st, 2030.
Name is Dennis Headrick, Dennis Headrack. Thank you for my opportunity to visit with you. A little bit about myself. I know you probably have my resume, but to just kind of hit it quickly. I'm an old Nebraska boy. Grew up in a little town of Shickley, Nebraska, south central Nebraska. And ironically went to a junior college when we had one in Fairbury. And in that second year, you switched over to a community college. So I ended up with a degree from Southeast Community College. From there, I went to Kearney when it was still a state college and got my bachelor's degree there in teaching and business. Had the opportunity to teach for several years in central Nebraska. But of course, the family was coming along, wanted to move back closer to home. So we moved to the little town of Plymouth, which is in southeast Nebraska, my wife's hometown, and Senator Brandt's hometown. And as you can see, went to work for the state of Nebraska in different positions there. And after 10 years, which ironically, when they interviewed me, they said, well, how long will you be here? I'm like, 10 years. And when I left, it was 10 years and 2 weeks. Anyway, I got hired by Southeast Community College as the assistant campus director. After 4 years, moved into the campus director position. Several years later, got academic affairs added to that. And in 2009, we moved to Lincoln and was in the area office until my retirement in 2020. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, thank you, Dr. Headrick. Do we have any questions for Dr. Headrick? Senator Linehan.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't really have a question, but I grew up very close to Beatrice, and I have a brother who works at Southeast Community College, and I just want to thank you for all you did for that community while you were there and for your continued service. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I want to thank you. And Shickley's not far from where I live either, and know a lot of people from there.
Where is that?
Shickley is not very far from where I live. I know.
Where do you live?
Glenville,
Oh, absolutely.
Sandy Creek School District, it's right next door.
Yeah.
But thank you for being here, and we'll vote soon on your appointment. Thank you very much. And next, we will have Dorothy Anderson, Dorothy C. Anderson. She is a candidate for the position of Nebraska Educational Telecommunications Commission.
We're a little ahead. Do you want to do
Skip.
Mr. Probyn?
So, yeah, we can.
Let me give him a call.
Okay.
Okay,
We can get her. Dorothy's not here, but
she's not here yet. She's coming though, right?
that's not, I guess.
I think she was scheduled at about maybe 1:30.
1:30. Is that right? It's 1 o'clock. We can change that.
Okay, but she should be calling. so-
Change the clock.
She's up there.
Oh, boy.
Yes, I was calling for Mr. Probyn. This is Shelley Swartz.
I was gonna say something to Dr.
Doing good, doing good. Do you want to call in to the number in the hearing room? That is correct. That sounds good. Hold one moment. Thank you.
We have a list and stuff. Otherwise, I guess we'll wait.
He set the clock and left it. Oh,
I was like, why is he leaving the hour long?
You know where the magic button is? Okay.
Hello, Dwayne.
Hi, Dwayne Probyn here. How are you? Who is this?
This is Senator Merman. I'm chair of the Education Committee here in Nebraska. We have most of the committee here, and we are looking forward to your to promote yourself for appointment to the Board of Educational Lands and Funds.
Thank you very much for calling. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about what I consider to be a very important part of our program with the K through 12 organization. I'll start out by telling you who I am. The last name is spelled Probyn.
And could you spell your first name too, please? Thank you.
That's right. It's Dwayne.
Thank you.
And I would then go on and say that this is my second appointment. The first appointment that I had was with Governor Griffin, and that was from January 28th, 2019 to October the 1st, 2023. And the term I have upcoming, you're being involved with, is with Governor Dillon, and that is from October of 2023 through October of 2028.
Well, thank you. We did have another appointment about a week ago to the Board of Educational Lands and Funds, and we should apologize to him for a little bit. We put him up kind of on the spot, asking him to talk more about the board and the way the board handles the sale and the management of sale and buying of lands, I guess, and the management of the lands and funds. Could you just expand on that a little bit for us?
Yeah, sure, would be happy to. The board consists of 5 folks. There's the districts 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm representing District 2. And then there is another district that is an at-large position, and that is appointed by the governor, and that is John. That's who you spoke with last week.
Yes.
Of the 5, I am serving my second year as the vice chair. And if you'll permit me to get into some of the details, I'll try to answer your questions. And if I don't have them, I will make sure that they are then referred to the appropriate people so that we can get them answered to your satisfaction.
Thank you.
Shall I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, the primary duty of the board is to manage the approximately 2.54 million acres of land now held in trust for Nebraska's K through 12 public schools. And in fulfilling this duty, the board serves as both landowner and land manager. And in its capacity as landowner, the board expends funds for maintenance, conservation, and improvement of the land under its care. A substantial portion of the budget each year is dedicated to these purposes. In its capacity as land manager, the board issues and services both surface leases, primarily for agriculture use, and subsurface leases permitting exploration for and extraction of oil and gas, minerals, and other natural resources. The board currently manages and collects rent on approximately 3,130 leases. Sales and trades of the school trust land are discretionary with the board.
Well, thank you. That was a great description. You got to go ahead if you have more to add.
Yeah, I do. The board and its staff are firmly committed to their fiduciary duty of maximizing the income and preserving the assets of the school trust for the benefit of Nebraska and its citizens. In pursuit of these goals, every effort is made to manage and conduct the board's business operations on the profit motive pattern as closely as possible on business operations conducted by the most efficient enterprise in the private sector. The board and its staff believe this business-like approach will make possible the continued success and the pursuit of the trust objectives. I could now go into the disbursement, if that is the next question that you might have.
Excuse me, I didn't hear what you said. The what?
Disbursement.
I said I could now go into the disbursements of the trust revenues.
Yes.
I have the up-to-date during 2023, if you would like me to go into that for you.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay, we have, as you know, we have 93 counties, and the K through 12 per pupil apportionment is $59,688,237.31. The real estate tax payment, that was one of the subjects that came up with John and also came up with me during my last appointment, was the real estate tax payment for that same period and those landowners of the 93 counties. And that currently is $11,803,407.08, which makes the total disbursement $71,491,712.39.
Okay, thank you.
Now, it might also be of interest to you. I don't feel like I don't want to rush you through this, and so if you would like to stop me at any time, I have a great deal of information here that I am trying to make sure that I share it appropriately with you. We have the number of board members is 5. And we've already discussed those. We have a professional staff of 8 people, and we have a staff and field people that is a total of 11. So you can see we have a very streamlined and highly professional organization at Belf that is responsible for a great deal of money and a great deal of opportunities to serve our K through 12 students. So that's a 24 total people.
Well, thank you.
I right now am averaging $160 per pupil, and that is a per pupil disbursement.
Thank you. That was a very good description of the board and what you do and how you manage the land. With that, I think we'll see if we have any questions from the board. By the way, I would like to have a briefing from the Bureau of Lands and Trusts sometime in the near future. But just for now, I'll see if any of the board members have any questions. Committee members, Senator Linehan.
Thank you very much for calling in today and willing to do this work. What were the liquid assets? So you've got the agricultural lands, but you also have liquid assets that you invest with the Nebraska Investment Council, right? Or they invested for you?
That is correct. Everything is run through them as in their fiduciary control.
And do you remember, I think I remember what Mr. Beglin said, but how much liquid assets that the trust holds?
I do not have that information. If John gave it to you, I will have to get back with you and get a specific number. I do not have that available.
So just a heads up, I think the question is, I mean, yes, $59 million is wonderful for K through 12 schools across Nebraska, almost $60 million. But when you look at what you've got, real estate, farms, and how much I think we're trying to figure out if your total assets are generating, how much money they're generating. I think that's the real question, is why, I mean, I don't want to get John in trouble, and he told us several times, not in trouble, but he told us several times he was new, so we were probably pushing too hard. But like the chairman said, I think the sooner you guys brief some people, the better off it will be.
Okay? So noted. We will make sure you get that answer.
Thank you. Any other questions for, let's see, who we go? Mr. Probyn. Well, if not, thank you very much for your service, and thank you for the great description of what you do, and appreciate you being available by teleconference today.
You're very welcome, and I enjoyed it. And please feel free to get back with any of us if you have any questions. Shelley and I have talked about getting together. Kelly Sudbeck, who is our CEO and Executive Secretary, has kind of asked me to spearhead an opportunity to talk with you personally. And if you have any other questions, I know all of our board members and all of our members in total would be happy to explain the further problems that we might face if we don't come across with the answers that you're looking for. I would also recommend a contact through belf.nebraska.gov. If you would like to consult that point, be happy to see that come across. Also, just on a lighter note, today is Agricultural Day along with the first of spring, and we're looking forward to a little nicer weather and some rainfall. We need it bad.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I agree. I'm a farmer myself, so I know what you're talking about. And thank you for your service again, and we'll move your nomination to the floor soon.
Thank you very much for your opportunities, and let us know how we can further help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And with that, we'll move on to the nomination of Dorothy C. Anderson to the position Nebraska Educational Telecommunications Commission. And her term will run January 23 through January 12th of 2027. Welcome, Dorothy.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon.
You want me to, last time I know I had to spell my name out. Do you?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Dorothy, middle initial is C, and the last name is Anderson, Anderson. And I'm here for appointment, as you mentioned, to the Nebraska Educational Telecommunications Commission. I served the last 2 years of another person's term, so I'm second round up here. By way of introduction, I was born and reared in West Point, Nebraska. Came to the university, graduated from the university, went to Germany for a couple of years, lived there for several years as an Army wife, and came back. I was a librarian at Love Library, and then I was home with my children for 17 years, during which I was very active in the community. Statewide, I watched a lot of educational television with you folks because I was very involved in government and campaigns, and my children, of course, grew up with Sesame Street, and my grandchildren grew up with Sesame Street, and I've just always been a real addict for public television. During those years, I did
I was active in a lot of organizations, community-wide organizations, everything from PTAs to Junior League to the Lincoln Citizens Police Advisory Board, which I was on for 16 years. I seemed to always end up as president or chairman or in a leadership role for almost everything I was involved in. I did get appointed to, let's see, during that time, I had gubernatorial appointments to the Commission on the Status of Women and Nebraska Supreme Court Judicial Nominating Commission for the First District. And then I did go to work as Deputy Election Commissioner for Lancaster County. And I was there until I left to go to work full-time for Congressman Doug Beery. And then I was there until I left to go to work full-time for Senator Chuck Hagel. And I managed the Lincoln office, and I was the director of the Constituent Services Division there. I had 12 people in 4 offices across the state, and managed, trained, supervised them. We were the ones that solved people's problems, and enjoyed it very much. My background in research was very helpful there. And so then after retiring, let's see if I can remember to tell you everything. Yeah, after retiring, of course, I'm one of those people that absolutely loves learning. And so the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, some of you are familiar with that. It's known as OLLI, but it's operated through the University of Nebraska. And its mission is to provide continuing education to people who no longer, you don't particularly want to get a degree, you just want to learn for the fun of learning. And so, yes, I was, an officer on that board and served on that board for a long time. And I also facilitated a lot of courses for that. One of the ones was, we called it State Government Day, and it was really, people just swarmed to it. We had all the constitutional officers speak for 20 minutes, and people could ask questions, and everything, the governor all the way down. We ended up, we also went to the Supreme Court. Mike Evican had us in there and talked about that. We did lunch at the governor's mansion. We came back, Bob Ripley took us through. So, I mean, it was a very popular course during the years that was offered, but I facilitated a huge range of those courses. I guess, let's see, what else would I want to talk to you about? I have, of course, read all of the bylaws and statutes and all of the information about the Communications Commission. I'm fully aware that the commission has 19 specific powers and duties that they're involved in. We operate 4 channels on the television network. The Nebraska Public Media main channel. We have another one called World, another one called Create, and another one called FNX, and that stands for First Nations, and that's the one with the Native American programming. But I guess I'd like to point out that under World, we do a lot of bringing in a lot of international information. For instance, when you folks aren't on Channel 19 from 4 to 6, Monday through Friday, you can access France 2024, Deutsche Welle, which is the German one, NHK, which comes from Asia, and BBC World. And so those are all half-hour programs that are produced in their countries in English, come to us. And then on evenings from 10:30 to 11, you get BBC World again. So we do have a terrific international presence also. Our mission mainly, of course, is education. Well, actually, we have 3 focuses. When the University of Nebraska first got its license in 1951, that whole situation was known as the Public Broadcasting Service. And its mission, frankly, was nothing but early warning alert system. And that's who NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, and the Department of Defense, because we're talking 1951, it was still duck and cover nuclear. And so the network was set up so that the local licensee would be aware of all of the local stations, and then they would feed the information into the public broadcasting service, and they would get out. And actually, that still works that way. They've added Amber Alert and Silver Alert to that too, but it still functions that way. So that's number one. Number two, of course, is education. Education for adults, education for children. And I don't, you know, what can you say about the adult stuff? There's just a huge array, whether it's history, science, travel, concerts, ballet, you name it. The whole cultural theatrical range is there. And when we talk about the children's programming, that's what gets really interesting because, as I said, I'm sure my children grew up with Sesame Street grandchildren. I'm sure many of you have family members too that depended on that. But what we call kids PBS is very important because 52% of the children, preschool children in the United States, have no access to preschool education, either by virtue of where they live or because they cannot financially afford it or get to it by don't have transportation. I spent the last week of February in Washington, D.C., attending the annual public television stations conference. And there were 5 of us that came from Nebraska. 3 are staff members. I represented the commission. And then we had a young woman from the Sandhills who was there on behalf of the Nebraska Public Media Foundation. And she had a really interesting story to tell because she grew up on a ranch out there in the Sandhills. She graduated from Rushville High School, went to Creighton, spent a semester abroad in Estonia, came back, finished at Creighton, and after graduation, she went to Boston, and she worked there for 5 years. And during that time period, she married, had a family, and when she had a baby and 2 preschoolers, decided, nope, didn't want to raise them out there. So she came back to the ranch, and as she said, I would have been part of the brain drain had it not been for educational television. Because when we came back to the ranch, there was no way I was going to be driving my children 45 miles each way twice a day to take them to preschool in Rushville. But she said, living out on the ranch, my children were able to grow up with all of that same education-based, research-based education that the children in the cities and other towns could, because she could access Nebraska educational television.
Well, thank you, Dorothy.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Appreciate your thorough description of what you're doing and what you've done and NET. With that, should we see if we have any questions from the committee?
Yeah, because you didn't even let me get to civic leadership and the community building. Civic leadership is you guys and all those forums that we do, and community building is all. We would not have a volleyball state if it had not been for NET and Terry Pettit doing that. But all those high school all those high school championships, speech and debate, all of that, that's all part of the community building, and it's very important to our people.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Anderson?
There's no press here, right? Which special?
But we're still on the mic.
You came very prepared. It's very impressive.
You didn't even let me get to all the good stuff that we do.
This is bringing back memories, Dorothy.
I know, the one-page memo, but I wanted to tell you about our wonderful programs that are seen all over the world. Yes. Okay, guys.
Your
That-
reputation.
I asked
Really
you to
appreciate
consider
NET.
I asked for your respectful consideration of my application.
You got it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So good to see you.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for being here. With that, we will close the hearing on gubernatorial nominations
Oh,
and have a discussion.
okay, what we're supposed to.